The Toy Box, a name whispered in fear. New Mexico, land of enchantment. But in its heart, a darkness festered. David Parker Ray. They called him the Toy Box Killer, a name whispered in fear. He trapped women in a homemade chamber of horrors, tortured them, their screams echoing in the desert night. This is the story of his evil, a journey into the mind of a monster. A monster's beginnings, the early life of David Parker Ray. What creates a monster? Some say evil is born. In Ray's case, childhood offered a glimpse. A troubled boy, prone to violence, dominated by a strict father. The seeds of control and cruelty planted early. He grew, the darkness within festering. Fueled by violent pornography, his fantasies twisted. He dreamed of control, of inflicting pain, of turning women into his playthings. David Parker Ray was born on November 6, 1939, in Belen, New Mexico. From a young age, his life was marked by turmoil and isolation. His father, Cecil Ray, was a strict disciplinarian, often resorting to physical punishment to enforce his will. This harsh treatment left a deep impact on young David, who found little solace at home. His mother, Nettie, was distant and uninvolved, leaving David to navigate his troubled childhood largely on his own. At school, David was an outcast, often bullied by his peers. He retreated into his own world, finding a dark escape in violent fantasies. He began drawing disturbing images, a reflection of the chaos within him. These early signs of his twisted imagination went unnoticed by those around him, allowing his dark thoughts to fester and grow. As he entered adolescence, David's fascination with violence took a more sinister turn. He discovered his father's stash of violent pornography, which further fueled his dark fantasies. These images of control and domination became an obsession, shaping his view of relationships and sexuality. He began to dream of inflicting pain, of turning his fantasies into reality. By the time he was a teenager, David Parker Ray was a deeply troubled young man. His isolation and the lack of positive influences in his life only served to deepen his dark desires. He became increasingly withdrawn, his mind consumed by thoughts of control and cruelty. The seeds of his future crimes were firmly planted, waiting for the right moment to bloom into a nightmare. Secrets of the Toy Box, tools of terror, hidden in plain sight, a trailer, unremarkable, but inside, the Toy Box, a soundproof chamber, restraints, surgical tools, sex toys, instruments designed for one purpose, to inflict unimaginable pain. Ray recorded his torture, his voice, a chilling monotone guiding his victims through their ordeal, promising them release, a promise he never intended to keep. Voices from the Abyss, survivors' tales and unsolved mysteries. Cindy Salcido, a name etched in this dark tale. She escaped the Toy Box. Her story, a harrowing testament to Ray's depravity. Her courage, a beacon in the darkness. Other victims came forward, their memories fragmented, haunted by the trauma. Some stories remain untold, whispers of more victims, lost to the desert, their fates unknown. The Toy Box Killer. The name terrorized New Mexico. Women lived in fear, looking over their shoulders, wondering if they were being watched, if they would be next. The case consumed law enforcement. The pressure to find the monster was immense. Every lead, a flicker of hope. Every dead end, a crushing blow. The search for the Toy Box Killer became an obsession. What drove David Parker Ray? Experts called him a sexual sadist. He derived pleasure from inflicting pain. Control was his ultimate desire, turning women into objects, stripping them of their humanity. His journals revealed a twisted fantasy world, detailed plans for torture. His victims were merely pawns in his sick games. He believed he was above the law, that he would never be caught. March 1999, a glimmer of hope. Another victim, Cynthia Vigil, escapes, injured but alive. She leads police to the Toy Box, to Ray, his reign of terror finally over. The trial was a media frenzy. The world watched, horrified, as the details of Ray's crimes were revealed. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury's verdict, swift and decisive, guilty. Justice, but no peace. The aftermath and lingering questions. The case of David Parker Ray, known infamously as the Toy Box Killer, left a scar on the community and the nation. His heinous acts were not just crimes. They were a manifestation of pure evil that left an indelible mark on everyone involved. David Parker Ray was sentenced to 224 years, a life behind bars. This sentence, while severe, could never truly compensate for the pain and suffering he inflicted. The courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and sorrow as the verdict was read. Families of the victims hoped for closure, but the emotional wounds were far too deep to heal quickly. But for the victims, the scars ran deep. These were not just physical scars, but emotional and psychological ones that would take a lifetime to mend. Each scar told a story of unimaginable horror and survival. The victims, brave and resilient, faced a long road to recovery. The trauma, a constant companion. It haunted their dreams and shadowed their waking moments. Therapy and support groups became essential lifelines, but the journey to reclaim their lives was fraught with challenges. The fear and anxiety ever present made everyday tasks monumental. The fight for healing, a lifelong journey. Questions lingered. Were there more victims? Did Ray have accomplices? The investigation, though thorough, left some stones unturned. The possibility of unknown victims weighed heavily on the minds of investigators and the public alike. Each new lead was a glimmer of hope for answers, but also a reminder of the darkness that had once gone unnoticed. The full extent of his crimes may never be known. The meticulous and secretive nature of Ray's actions made it difficult to uncover the complete truth. Law enforcement continued to search for clues, hoping to bring justice to any additional victims. The community, meanwhile, grappled with the unsettling reality that such evil had existed in their midst. The Toy Box case, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. It served as a wake-up call, highlighting the importance of vigilance and community support. The legacy of this case is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring quest for justice and healing. As the candle flickers in the darkness, so too does the hope for a brighter, safer future. The Toy Box Killer's legacy lessons learned. The Toy Box case sent shockwaves through law enforcement. It highlighted the need for better communication between agencies, for greater awareness of serial predators, for improved support for victims of sexual violence. It also served as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of women, of the importance of personal safety, of the need for vigilance, to never let down our guard, to never forget the victims. The case of the Toy Box Killer, David Parker Ray, is one that will forever be etched in the annals of criminal history. His heinous acts of violence and torture against women exposed glaring gaps in the system. It underscored the necessity for law enforcement agencies to work in unison, sharing information and resources to prevent such atrocities from happening again. The case also brought to light the critical need for specialized training for officers to recognize the signs of serial predators early on. Moreover, the Toy Box Killer case emphasized the importance of providing comprehensive support for victims of sexual violence. Many survivors suffer in silence, their voices unheard. This case served as a catalyst for change, pushing for better mental health services, legal support, and community resources to help victims rebuild their lives. The vulnerability of women in society was starkly highlighted by this case. It reminded us all of the importance of personal safety measures, not just for women, but for everyone. Simple actions like being aware of one's surroundings, trusting one's instincts, and having a safety plan can make a significant difference. Vigilance is key. We must remain alert and aware, not just for ourselves, but for our communities. The Toy Box Killer's actions were a grim reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. By staying vigilant, we can help prevent future tragedies. Finally, we must never forget the victims. Their stories, their pain, and their courage must be remembered. They are more than just statistics. They are individuals whose lives were irrevocably changed. Honoring their memory means continuing to fight for justice, for better systems, and for a safer world for all. Remembering the victims, their strength, and our promise. The toy box killer is gone, but the memory of his crimes lives on. We remember the victims, their strength, their resilience, their fight for survival. Let their stories be a call to action, to create a world free from violence, a world where women feel safe, a world where justice prevails. In the shadow of evil, a final word. Evil exists. It wears many faces. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, but even in the darkest of times, hope remains. The human spirit, unconquerable. And though the scars may remain, we can choose to heal, to remember, and to fight for a better tomorrow.